Awesome. Hi there. This is Marnie Melrose, also known as Midas Marnie. And today what I'm going to talk about is Amazon payments versus Coinbase. And I watched their little introduction to Amazon payments earlier this morning. And it was really interesting, and I'm really happy that I did it. And here's why. Because I got a lot of good information about understanding, where they're coming from and where Bitcoin is coming from. And I really want to help small business owners to understand how they can accept payments a little bit more efficiently with something like Coinbase and Bitcoin over something like Amazon payments. And I'll kind of show you the trade-offs that on each side. But why Bitcoin, I think, really still does come out clear winner. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about credit cards, right? And the thing is, this is the real issue that I have with something like Amazon payments or the upcoming Apple payment system, is these companies have now gained access to these millions of credit cards that they have on file. And so now they want to make that into a profit center, right? And here's why they're doing it. And it makes good business sense, okay? Because the thing is that when a company holds credit card information, they have a lot of compliance that they have to pay for, right? And so in order to kind of compensate for those overheads of managing that data that they're trying to secure, they are searching for ways to actually turn it into a profit center, i.e. Amazon payments, and maybe people are talking about Apple coming up with their own system, which wouldn't surprise me at all, okay? But here's the problem with that, okay? First of all, credit cards are an antiquated system, and we're really just kind of digging deeper into a system and a technology that was developed back in the 1960s. And with Bitcoin, we can actually turn that whole thing upside down on its head so that nobody has control of our payment credentials except us, right? Or the trusted parties that we decide, have access to those payment credentials. So let's kind of dig into it a little bit here, okay? I made some notes from, my watching that earlier today. And, it is true now more than ever that especially on mobile, okay, nobody wants to pull out their wallet and type in the information while they're on the go. And that makes perfect sense, right? People are coming more and more cautious of using their credit cards. And, the neat thing is that with a Bitcoin wallet on your phone, it makes it super easy. So I think that's something that's coming really, really quickly here. And I can see that Amazon is trying to make it easy. And I can see the reason behind it, right? I got rid of my credit cards long ago. Everything is debit cards for me. I don't like credit at all. And it's funny, I watch these, I have to laugh. On TV, I think it's a Capital One thing. A guy is like 1% cash back with every purchase. And, it's like, as long as you're paying off your credit card every month, yeah, that's great, wonderful. However, most people are not paying their credit cards off every month, and the average credit card interest rate is 15.6%. So, like 1% is crazy. Anyways, so I am more, obviously I'm pro Bitcoin, and I'm pro paying with what you actually have rather than paying with credit. Just because, so many people have, especially here in the United States, it is just rampant with people just getting in over their heads with that whole paradigm, right? And so anyways, there is this whole new market that is being created for companies like Amazon and Apple, like I said, who already hold your credit card information. But really, they're like another middleman, another cog in the wheel of finance. And it, like I said, the whole system is actually really busted, right? It's ancient. If you look at 1960s, oh my God, we didn't even have computers back then. Right? We didn't really have a good payment system, okay? And so basically I'm here to tell you that I don't really think that keeping your information at a centralized point serves you, okay? If we haven't learned anything from that $40 million Target heist last year, right? And then eBay being hacked today with, if you have an eBay account, by the way, go and change your password because they were hacked. And, they've got access to all the passwords from eBay. And especially if you use that password somewhere else, and people are notoriously bad at handling their passwords. And we'll talk about that in another show because I really want to help people understand some of the methods that they can use for better password management. Because if you get control of handling your passwords, you can be more in control of your data, and especially in Bitcoin, okay, where you're really in control of your payment credentials. In Bitcoin, we call that the private keys. Okay, rather than you giving your payment credentials to all of these websites, right? All of these websites have your credit cards. And especially the bigger the websites get and the more credit cards they hold, that's like candy or like a piñata for thieves, right? They're just like, how can we crack that thing open and get all that juicy candy out of there, right? So I'm not really I'm not one of those people that's really comfortable having my credit card information, held on those websites, because I know it's really kind of just a matter of time before they're going to get hacked. I mean, we see it all day, every day, right? I am more of the opinion that I want to be in control, or I want to choose a trusted company that I choose to hold my keys, right? Somebody that I trust in personally. And these days, seriously, you probably have your credit card on at least 15 to 20 different websites. I'll give you that little piece of homework. How many websites is your credit card on right now? And it will probably scare you. Because the thing is that we don't know, first of all, if the companies are trusted or if their systems can be trusted. And those two things, create a, very, awkward situation, especially these days. It's just not so safe. And I would argue that, being in control of your Bitcoin or having your Bitcoin in control, your private keys controlled by somebody that you really do trust, I think is the way of the future. Okay, so if we look at it, and Bitcoin, if we accept payments with Bitcoin, right? So let's go back to the Amazon payments here, because I was kind of getting off track there. Okay, so Amazon right now has these millions and millions of, credit card credentials. And now they're offering you the opportunity to accept payments with them. So you would use them either in addition to or instead of your current merchant, provider. So, for instance, a lot of small companies, they start out with PayPal, and then maybe they move up to somebody like Authorize.net to get better rates, right? Of course, then they get into, now they have to handle the fraudulent transactions themselves. And this transaction that's coming in, is that really a transaction that they can trust, or that transaction might be reversed with a credit card? Okay, so this is a neat thing, is that with accepting Bitcoin payments, a Bitcoin payment cannot be reversed at all, not by the client. You would have to refund that, right? And so you know that, especially if you're dealing with people overseas, you know that if an order comes in from overseas and that payment was made with Bitcoin, you know you can send the product, because there's no way that transaction can be reversed at all unless you choose to reverse it. So there's a really strong use case for companies that do want to do overseas transactions, and also who want to be able to really do global e-commerce, right? Because Bitcoin is available globally. It's, anybody who has a, you know what, I'm on a live broadcast. Hi, this is our window cleaner. Yeah, so, right, global e-commerce. Boy, that's funny. Global e-commerce, Bitcoin, anybody in the world can have a Bitcoin account, right? And nobody can stop you or kind of be a guard to you getting a Bitcoin account, like, third-party companies like, a bank can say, no, I won't give you a bank account, or, like I said, the different payment processors. No, I won't do that. And with Bitcoin, it's just, they will, because the system is set up in such a way that we don't have to have that opportunity for fraud, okay? And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Okay, but for instance, Amazon payments, Amazon is only available in 50 states and 45 countries, okay? So it has a limited global use. And also their payments, I've had a look at their, at what the fees are for the payments. And where do I have that now? Amazon payments. There we go. Okay, the fees. So let's, this is where we get into the comparison between Coinbase and Amazon payments. Okay, so let's talk about Amazon payments first. So basically, if you wanted to be able to accept Amazon payments, you would, sign up for an Amazon account, go through all of their procedures in order to, get it. Apparently, it takes like 10 minutes. And then they are going to charge you 2.9% per transaction and a 30-cent transaction fee. Okay, so it is higher than if you took a credit card by yourself. All right, and then the user, the customer, can either pay with their Amazon balance, kind of like a PayPal balance, or their bank account, or their credit card. Okay. And so they are, making the money in the difference between the spread of processing the credit card transaction. So that's basically where they're making that money. So, it starts at 2.9% if you do up to $3,000 per month. If you do $3,000 to $10,000 per month, it does go down to 2.5%. If you do $10,000 to $100,000 a month, it's 2.2% and a 30-cent transaction fee. And if you do $100,000 or more, or $101,000, then you have 1.9% and a 30-cent transaction fees. They do have a micropayment discount, which is for transactions less than $10. You pay 5% of the order total plus 5 cents per order. So that's, it's okay. It's still not great. So, I mean, for instance, like with Bitcoin, my hard cost, if I'm actually doing Bitcoin, is a half a cent That's the transaction fee, half a cent. I couldn't compete. Amazon payments can't compete with that. They also can't compete with, for instance, we were talking about we were going to use Coinbase. So if I accept Coinbase, okay, for payment on my website, and the first $1 million, right, $1 million of transaction processing fees is waived. After that, there'll be a 1% transaction fee. So that's pretty significant savings. You know, you can definitely save a lot of money there by using Bitcoin and Coinbase. And the neat thing about doing something, you know, for instance, with Bitcoin and with Coinbase, right, is that when people play with Bitcoin, you don't actually have to invade their privacy and ask for information that you don't need, right? Because in a Bitcoin transaction, rather than the customer giving you their credentials, instead, what you're going to show to them, okay, is your payment information right here. I'm gonna get one up for you here. So let's go here and we'll request. Okay, and let's say we want to 0.05. Okay, request. Okay, so here's a QR code. Okay, and that is, you're going to show that, or a customer is going to click on a link. Okay, and it's basically going to take them to the QR code for that transaction. So you're actually revealing information about you rather than the customer revealing their information. And then they're simply going to send the money to you, which is going to end up in your Coinbase account if you're using Coinbase like we're talking about today. So, for instance, if somebody is purchasing, let's say, like a micropayment, something from us, and it's digital, there's no reason in the world that I need to ask them for their credit card information. Okay? Not their credit card information, their address information. I don't need to ask for their address information. And so it really gives your customers more privacy by being able to pay by Bitcoin. Okay? And, you know, let's have a look at some of my other notes here. This is another thing that I found really interesting in going through that, is that according to LexisNexis, the true cost of every $1 in fraud is $2.79. That really doesn't compute, does it? I would probably say that that's a pretty unsustainable system, right? If it costs me $2.79 for every $1 fraud, I would definitely say that the credit card and you know, debit card, that whole system is just fundamentally broken. Fundamentally broken. And you know, the beauty of Bitcoin is that I think as we educate more people, and I'm seeing this more and more every day, as people get more educated, I know for myself, I would much rather pay in Bitcoin because I don't have to give anybody any information of mine that can let them spend my money afterwards. You know, I am fully in control of my payment credentials, and you never get access to that information from me as a Bitcoin user, okay? And so it's interesting. Another thing that I saw was that buyers prefer frictionless payment methods. And they predicted that 20% of online orders will be made with payment methods that don't require entering a card number by 2017. So, but they're thinking the old world paradigm, right, of credit cards. And with Bitcoin, I mean, that's perfect. That's exactly what Bitcoin is. You know, it's frictionless global payment, and you know, without fraud. And so, you know, if you are wondering about, you know, Bitcoin and how like the tech world sees it, here's a great little, I love this. This was a really good quote from Mark Andreessen, the founder of Netscape. And he's a venture capitalist as well. And I'm going to bring this over here so I don't look like I'm looking on the side. And he said, a mysterious new technology emerges, seemingly out of nowhere, but actually the result of 2 decades of intense research and development by nearly anonymous researchers. Political idealists project visions of liberation and revolution onto it. They see within it enormous potential and spend their nights and weekends tinkering with it. Eventually, mainstream products, companies, and industries emerge to commercialize it. Its effects become profound, and later, many people wonder why its powerful promise wasn't more obvious from the start. See, to people like us, it is obvious. It's absolutely obvious. Anyways, going on. What technology am I talking about? Personal computers in 1975, the internet in 1993, and he says, and I believe Bitcoin in 2014. And he said the practical consequence of solving this problem is that Bitcoin gives us for the first time a way for one internet user to transfer a unique piece of digital property to another internet user, such that the transfer is guaranteed to be safe and secure. Everyone knows that the transfer has taken place, and nobody can challenge the legitimacy of the transfer. We're talking about the public blockchain here is what he's talking about. He says the consequences of this breakthrough are hard to overstate. And, you know, that's why you may wonder why we're all up late at night and can't stop talking about this, because we really do understand what this means. And he said, what kinds of digital property might be transferred in this way? Think about digital signatures, digital contracts, digital keys to physical locks or to online lockers, digital ownership of physical assets such as cars and houses and digital stocks and bonds and digital money. Okay, so I've said this before, you know, where we talk about Bitcoin as being the, there's Bitcoin the platform. And then there's Bitcoin, the currency, which is the first app on the platform, okay? And so basically the payment network that Bitcoin is, and it has the potential to be. I really think, for me anyways, and this is what I'm doing, and all I can share with you is what I'm doing. I see the potential of Bitcoin. I'm accepting Bitcoin. I prefer Bitcoin over other methods of payment because I get my money, more of my money, into my bank account. And also, I don't have to ask for as much information. Actually, on my website, I do right now because I still accept credit cards, right? And I've been toying with the idea of not accepting credit cards, and also asking WooCommerce. And so, WooCommerce, if you're listening, I would like it. So here's what I would love from you guys. If I'm selling a digital product and my client is paying in Bitcoin, I don't want to ask them for their address. I don't want to do that. I don't feel that I should need to do that. And I think it would be really, really cool if we had a way so that we don't invade our client's privacy in that way. You know, because every piece of information, you know, you've got on eBay, it was the birth dates. Everybody was worried about the birth dates, right? And as these bad actors, right, get a hold of different pieces of information, that's the way they steal your identity, right? Is by they get your address here, they get your birth date here, they get your social security number here, you know, and pretty much they've got all the pieces together to finally, you know, grab your identity. And so I want to be able to protect my clients even more. So if you're listening, WooCommerce, please, 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 please make it so that if they pay by Bitcoin, I don't have to ask them for an address. That's the vision that I see. And, you know, like I said, I would much rather have all of the money that I charge my clients going into my pocket rather than, you know, giving up 2.9% of it like I would have to if I accepted, you know, the Amazon payment, right? And I think that it's better for my client long term, for my client to learn how to use Bitcoin and to learn how to be in control of their payment credentials rather than having all of these other people in control of their payment credentials. Here's another thing that I saw really interesting on, and this was the last thing that I wanted to cover here was, so check this out. If, for instance, you subscribe with Bitcoin using Coinbase, okay, customers retain the right to pause or cancel recurring payments at any time from their Coinbase account and do not need to contact the merchants to cancel. This provides a greater level of accountability and also prevents prices from being raised without the customer's permission, unlike with the credit card. And that is so true. I can't tell you how many times I have had my credit card on a service, they raise their prices, and boom, you know, maybe I'm not paying attention to my email, it slides by, and all of a sudden now, monthly, I'm paying more, but I didn't agree to pay more, right? That wasn't something that I agreed to. I really do believe that by using Bitcoin, you can be more in control of where your money is spent, right? And you know that's the thing with these bank accounts and everything. They just decide, oh, this fee, well, let's just take that out of your account, right? You didn't agree to that fee, but they figure they can just go in there and grab it, right? And you know, by being fully in control of your Bitcoin private keys, nobody can grab your money, including, you know, governments at this present time. I don't know if that's going to remain the way in the future, but at this point in time, nobody can grab your money without your permission if you are in control of your keys. And I think that that's really a world that I want to live in. I don't want people just, you know, arbitrarily saying, oh, let's just take that or let's just take that. I want to agree. I want to have the right to agree to make payment. And I think that Bitcoin really goes a far way of doing that. And so I think that as a merchant, this is what I'm going to ask of you. As a merchant, I think that you should start accepting Bitcoin. And I think, or let's say you could, not that you should, I hate shoulds, okay, but you could start accepting Bitcoin and you could start educating your customers on what it means for them when they pay with Bitcoin. Now, there's all sorts of companies starting up that are really fabulous for, you know, protecting people's Bitcoin if they don't feel comfortable protecting it themselves. In other words, them being in charge of their own credentials, right? I prefer to be in charge of my own credentials, you know, so I use wallets where I'm in charge of the private keys. But there's lots of people who are used to that old paradigm of having a trusted party be in charge of those keys, right? And so there's lots of companies out there, like I said, you know, Coinbase is a wallet, Zappo is starting up their wallet. They have, you know, armed guards if you put your Bitcoin in a vault. And now Circle is another really, really large, you know, Bitcoin player coming onto the market fairly soon, where your, you know, keys are in their control rather than being in your control. Again, for somebody like me, I am going to use something like blockchain or green address, and I'm going to be in control of my keys. But that's the beauty of Bitcoin, is that you can play it either way you want to play it. If you want to play it more traditional, you can go with the companies that kind of allow you that more traditional way of doing it. And if you want to, you know, be part of the new future, you can be part of that new future, and you can take full control, right? And so yeah, anyways, if you start accepting Bitcoins and you want to educate your users on your consumers and your customers on using Bitcoins, send them over to my website and I will educate them just like I'm educating you here today. And I hope that you really enjoyed the show today. And if you would, you know, send us a Bitcoin donation to help us keep this show going and keep the education going. And there'll be a link to it at the bottom of the post, both on my website and on the World Crypto Network. And what we're doing too is now we're starting to post all of the shows that I'm doing on our website. So if you go to midasmarnie.com and then you click on shows, you'll start to see those shows, and I actually go through there and kind of outline the points that we've been talking about in the shows, so that if you have missed any of them, you can just go back there and have a look at them. So anyways, I hope that you got a little bit out of that today and understood, you know, what the different options are for you as compared with Coinbase and Amazon payments today. Thanks. Bye.